I'm Fatima Madondo. I'm a junior here. I'm a neuroscience major and I'm from Zimbabwe. And we'll be talking about a slice of another world.
Hi everyone, I'm Shingirai, commissioning. I'm also from Zimbabwe. I'm a senior. I'm studying actuarial science. We'll be giving part of our world and slice of another world.
So when I first saw the title, A Slice of Another World, I just thought about sharing about my culture in Zimbabwe and the differences between my culture and the American culture, and how I sort of like navigated the American culture, also applying things from my culture.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was just kind of the same with Fatima, but I have always liked to think of myself as someone who is living between these two worlds, the world in America and the world that I've lived for the past 20 years before coming to America. So I think when I saw the topic, it was basically, oh, I'm gonna share that other world of me that's behind me. So that's exactly what I'm gonna be doing. I was born and raised in Zimbabwe. I came to the US when I was 21. So for the first 21 years of my life, I have lived in Zimbabwe. I went to school, high school in Zimbabwe. So I think as we're gonna be discussing, there are definitely social differences, political differences, economic and cultural differences. So I think we're gonna get into that like with specific questions. But yeah.
And I think for me, I never really thought about like my life when I was in Zimbabwe. It was just a day-to-day thing. You just wake up, you do your own things. But then when I came to America, you start to think about those differences. You start missing home and, the things that you just took for granted. So yeah, I went to high school. I went to a boarding school, the same with Shingirai. I would say like most people go to boarding schools. And I think when I shared that I went to a boarding school, most people here would think maybe I was a naughty person, but that's not the case. Most people go to boarding schools in my country. That's the education system, and that's where you can get the best education. So my family sent me to a boarding school, and I was there for 6 years. And then after that, I took a gap year, and then I now applied to come to the US, and I found myself here.
Yeah, I just think just when Fatima pointed out that she didn't think about her life before, I think I've always wanted to think of that idea as I didn't know that you would be obsessed with identity. I didn't think about who I am. Basically in Zimbabwe, I just thought I'm just a normal Zimbabwean boy who's growing up like any other. But coming here forced me to think of who I am, my relevance, to the people around me. What do I really mean? What does the world see me as? Like, I didn't think about all those kind of things. So I think it was really a very it's a very definitive experience that have defined a lot of other things that sometimes I get clear clarity in myself of who I am and what I represent in the world, and sometimes I got confused of myself. So yeah.
Yeah, and I would also say, that kind of thinking, it makes you different from the other Zimbabweans because they don't understand where you're coming from. So this actually happened with my brother. So he was here before me, and when he came back for the holidays, like he was so different. He was just kind of distant, and I didn't understand him. Like we're now on two different platforms. Like he was thinking about more things that I didn't think of. Like I just wake up, but then he gets to think about his life and everything. So that kind of, put us on two different worlds. But now I sort of like understand him. I'm like, yep. So sometimes like when I went back to my country, it was kind of different. It was kind of difficult to just talk to people because what I'm thinking is now different from what they're thinking. So yeah, it can do that to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would want to say yes. I think America is a lot about identity. I didn't think about who I am.
Yeah.
So here you even start thinking about even race. I didn't even think that I was a black boy before coming here. I realized that I'm a black boy when I come here. I didn't know it, but I didn't just think it really matters. Yeah.
And then I would say the differences between the cultures, like here it's more individualistic, and then our culture is collectivistic. So thinking about yourself is kind of like selfish in a way. you're just taught to think about the others before you, so you don't really identify yourself like, oh, I'm this kind of person. What you do is for everyone else, it's not just for you. But here it's more individualistic. You have to think about who you are, your identity, what you want to become. It's all about you. But in our country, it's about everyone and what they mean to you. So you put them before yourself. But here it seems like you have to put yourself before everyone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Culture shock, yeah, it was something that I just heard of. You're like, oh, what's culture shock? But then when you now go to another culture, a different culture, you start to experience these things that you've never experienced before. So I think for me, the biggest one was most Americans are kind of busy and you don't really get time to sit with people and talk to them how they are doing, which is something that's really important in my culture. You don't put like your work before others. So even if you meet someone and you're in a hurry, you take the time to ask them how they are doing, or if they need any help from you. So that was kind of different. And I remember during our orientation, our international students orientation, they told us, if you say hi to someone, it doesn't mean they're going to stop and talk to you. So you have to get used to that. And I just thought, oh, it's just talk. But then I got to experience it. I was like, oh, this is real for sure. So that was really difficult for me, like to just say hi to someone and then go your way.
Yeah.
And even sometimes, like in the classrooms, you may know someone and you think, because back in my country, if you know someone, that means, you kind of greet them wherever you meet them. But here, knowing someone in classroom doesn't necessarily mean they'll greet you if they see you outside. So you may even say hi to you and they'll just ignore you.
Yeah.
So that was kind of difficult for me because I'm just used to greeting people, asking how they are. So I used to do that, just say hi and then people would ignore you. So it kind of kills something inside you, like, oh my God. So it's still difficult. I just love greeting people, but sometimes, you just have to get used to it and just teach yourself to be different. But it's not something that I like. I wish I could change it, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like what Fatima is talking about. I think we grew up in a society which values substantial relationships. I'm not saying American relationships are not substantial, but I think I have wanted to think of them as they are dynamic and fluid. They assume different gradients of what can be defined as friendship. I think really doesn't mean friendship in my context. Like, friendship here could mean someone you say hi in class, could mean someone you talk to in a club, could mean someone you do homework with. But friendship, I think, in Zimbabwe really is a substantial. If you say someone is my friend, it's someone you can share your life with, like to a really deeper level, which is different from here. Like, the friendships are dynamic, and so you need to kind of adjust to that. Now I have spent 4 years here. Now I get used to it. That if I talk to someone in class, don't have to assume that they want to talk to me outside class. So let's just that relationship exist there, and let other relationships that exist outside exist there. So that kind of trying to draw lines between this kind of relationship. So I think that's something that I really miss, like those substantial kind of relationship. But yes,
Yeah, and I don't know about you, Shingirai, but when I went back to my country for the winter break, it was sort of like a struggle. You'd see people and then you're still in the American mode, you just say hi and you go and they're like, oh, you're not too proud, you're not too full of yourself. So, you go back and you have reverse culture shock because you're now sort of used to the American culture. And when you go back, you're now in this reverse culture shock where you're like, what are people doing? I just want to say hi and go, which is seen as like being really rude in my country. So it's interesting, how you just have to research yourself when you're navigating between different cultures. Like, there are some American things that I've adopted, but I won't use in my country because that's rude. And then there are some of my culture that I can't bring to America because like it doesn't apply. Like, it's just different.
It's really I think navigating that, living in these two worlds that I've described before, kind of makes another person. I think there's another person of me that has started living that applies American life and applies Zimbabwean life, and kind of together. And that person is really difficult because he kind of is in the middle ground. He doesn't really know now which one is which is which.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think for me, for the American culture, something that I really like about it is that you can be open. I feel like sometimes in Zimbabwe, yes, you may say, you have to think about others before yourself, but that suppresses what you're really feeling. So people may say something, but they don't really mean it. But here, I've learned to be open. So you really say what you're feeling, and it's something that I really appreciate, so that you're just honest with everyone. And I would say for the Zimbabwean culture, something that I really think is important, like just being there for others, talking to people, asking how they are doing, because you don't know what someone is going through, and like a simple hi and asking them how they are doing makes a difference in their lives.
yeah, I find this a really hard question, but I'm just gonna go reiterate what Fatima is. I think, yeah, I've learned independent thinking, not just independent thinking, but independent trusting myself more. That I can make the right decisions, that I can work for the goals that I have. On the other hand, in Zimbabwe, it's much more of a collective effort, that what my family thinks is the best for me, then that's the best for me. And some of the times, often times, it ends up suppressing the person that you want to become. But I would also want the American culture to assume these substantial relationships. I would kind of want to hesitate to use. I'm not saying they are not substantial, but I think sometimes they are not very genuine. Like, people don't mean to ask you how you're doing. They just mean to ask it. Like, it's not very meaningful. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to us. I think it's always great to learn about another culture. You learn what's valuable to them, and just learn to respect the differences that we have. So I hope this may inspire you to learn about a different culture, or to immerse yourself, yeah, just in a new culture, and take yourself out of your own comfort zone.
Yeah, I think, yeah, if there's anything that I've really learned in my time here, is that in order to meaningfully understand other people, or empathize with other, we need to understand the stories that have collided together, to make them feel the world through the lenses they use. So, not allowing your parochial convictions, or these preconceived convictions, to shape the way you think about other people. Let real life experiences really shape you, and how you think about other people. But other than that, thanks so much. Peace out.